of benefits arising from their utilization was defended by the Minister of Environment and Nature Protection, Hele Pierre. The bill lays down the legal framework to protect and develop genetic resources, a major lever for development.
Still in Parliament, it has been disclosed that Cameroon lost a staggering 584.7 billion CFA francs in tax expenditure and other fiscal exemptions in 2019 financial year alone. This amount, which represents 21% of non-oil tax revenue, was disclosed today in Yaoundé by the Director General of Taxation, Mopa Modeste Fuatoing, at a meeting with the Committee on Finance and Budget of the National Assembly. The chair of the committee, Rosette Ayayi, used the event to express the need for the government to review its policy on tax expenditure. Esther Kmer followed the deliberation.
The financial regime of the state requires that government provides a detailed presentation of the budgetary cost of tax exemptions and waivers. And as Parliament gets set for the budgetary orientation debate, Honorable Ayayi Mutimbo, leading the Finance and Budget Committee, agrees with the members that the exchange is timely.
We have it as a mandate to carry out government policy back to the people and find out from them whether there's a paradigm shift.
The Director General of Taxation holds that the cost of tax expenditure is borne by the states through specific measures.
There are incentives to strengthen the productive sector and, of course, incentives to obtain social cohesion.
For the legislators, exonerations targeting households should be regulated.
When government takes tax exemptions, it goes not only on lower revenue people, but also in the whole population. Even the rich are taking profit on it. So we have to know how we can help more people with lower revenue.
Eliminating tax for locally produced goods will also contribute to profitability and competitiveness.
You're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. A week will hardly go by these days without the report of a criminal case in the west region of Cameroon, with the most common forces being physical aggression, burglary, and kidnapping. Cybercrime has come to worsen an already bad situation. Our Thursday at the Region dossier today takes us to the West region to meet our reporter, Chancelin Nanze, who presents some of the most common forms of crime there.
The cultivation, commercialization and consumption of cannabis has gained grounds in the West region recently. The latest case addressed by the forces of law and order was the destruction of a 5-hectare plantation of Indian hemp in Bacham, Bambuto's division on June 22nd. The 3 suspected farmers, among them a 26-year-old lady, are said to be members of the same family. Kidnappings for ransom are becoming rampant as well. For the last 3 months, a duo that fell into the dragnet of law enforcement officers recently had kidnapped 6 women, their modus operandi being picking up passengers along the road, leaving from one town to another. Their last victim was an expectant mother. Some of the victims were transformed into sex slaves. What's now trending in the West region is the hacking of phone numbers. The most renowned victim is Governor Awafonka Augustine, who on the 26th of May 2021 announced that his phone number had been hacked. Investigations revealed that the cyber criminals had connived with some commercial agents of the network service provider who used a software called Famoko to duplicate his identity, demanding for money in exchange for services. The profanation of tombs and trafficking in human parts, as well as the sale of illicit fuel, remain the nightmare of those in charge of maintaining law and order in the West region.
And given the ever-rising or increasing crime wave in the region, the local authorities have remained vigilant and innovative in devising and reinforcing strategies to identify perpetrators of crime and bring them to book. Here now is Chetembuk on the efforts of the administrative and security officials to keep the situation under check.
The forces of law and order in the West region are multiplying strategies to combat insecurity in all its forms in the region. Gendarmerie officers have decided to up their game in the wake of the apparent onslaught by criminal gangs or individuals who turn to operate on the various forms. The National Gendarmerie is working in collaboration with other corps to track down culprits harassing people. An example is the case of the governor's phone number that was recently hacked by some hoodlums. The West Legion of the National Gendarmerie collaborated with elements of the East Legion and police corps to apprehend the criminals. They are also involving the population and using technological innovations as well to trace individuals who think they are smart. This is the case of some kidnappers in Bamenka in the Upper Plateau Division who were recently tracked down using technological devices. The calls made by the kidnappers to family members of their hostages were exploited to get their location. Authorities therefore warn such persons that there will be no hiding place for them in the entire West region. Consequently, they are warned to desist from such malpractices or run the risk of being captured and brought before law courts to face justice.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
For more than 3 months now, Cameroon has been working hard to save lives by pushing a national vaccination campaign against the coronavirus. According to health officials, though the response has been timid this far, there are signs that attitudes towards the vaccine are changing for the better. Tonight, Gilbert Ongene and his guest, Dr. Andreas Njoa-Take, do an evaluation of the immunization campaign in the country 3 months down the line. Hello, Gilbert. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Ben Menupufong. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Cameroon started the mass vaccination against the coronavirus pandemic some 3 months ago. And this is a moment for us to start looking at the balance sheet of the vaccination that started with priority given to health workers. We have with us here Dr. Njoa Andreas, who is of the National Immunization Program. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Gilbert.
Now, tell us, what is the path covered this far?
At the moment, over 100,000 Cameroonians have been vaccinated, and this number is just around 5% of the total population. It's still very low. It's less than 5% of the total population. So a lot still has to be done for us to improve the vaccination coverage in our population.
What are some of the difficulties encountered this far on the ground?
Yes, the major challenge is absence of population adhesion to the vaccination program as a whole, COVID-19 vaccination as a whole. So for us to resolve this problem, every strategy has to be put in by every stakeholder to ensure that the population accept COVID-19 vaccination.
Now, the target that you have, what percentage of the target has we attained this far?
Yes, the initial target has been to vaccinate at least 40% of the total Cameroon population, and at the moment we are just around 5%. So we still have a long way to go. So at the moment we are reinforcing interpersonal communication. We are also scaling up the vaccination sites. We are also moving forward to train more health workers to vaccinate in the new sites that will be included all over the national territory. And to add to this all, from the 7th to the 11th of July, there's going to be a national vaccination campaign against COVID-19.
The population needs to adhere to the vaccination campaign for it to be a success. Every stakeholder has to put their hands on deck. Over to you, studio.
Thank you very much, Gilbert Ongene. Now let's talk about ourselves. The board chair of the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV, has described the mid-term report of activities this 2021 as satisfactory. At the end of the 54th ordinary session of the Board of Directors meeting, Minister René Emmanuel Sade encouraged the Director General and the staff of the corporation to remain fixed and focused on set objectives. Here now is an excerpt of the board chairman's declarations at the end of today's board meeting.
We examined the execution of the last year budget, and also we went through the activities organized by the Director General of CRTV. And also we examined the activities of CMCA, and I can say that generally speaking, we were satisfied with the documents which were presented by the Director General and the results which we had to ascertain. I think CRTV was up to its missions, and I could say the same thing with CMCA.
That was the board chair of the Cameroon Radio Television, René Emmanuel Sade, speaking today at the end of the 54th board meeting of the corporation. Women Tour Academy, a Pan-African initiative to support and train female leaders, has launched a monitoring program set up by an association known as Coalition Digital. The objective of Women Tour Academy is to develop the entrepreneurial skills of women in the use of ICT tools so as to make them effective leaders of African enterprises. Ewane Pole reports.
Women Tour is a mentoring program set up by the association known as Coalition Digital. Its objective is to increase the representation of women in all economic sectors in order to create the next generation of African female leaders.
This training is going to be provided in the Women Tour Academy. It's an online platform because our program is a phygital one. It's a blended mode, so it's going to be physical and also online program.
Women Tour is sponsored by Her Excellency Madame Liliane Massala, Gabon's ambassador to France, and supported by a steering committee made up of African and international personalities.
Enrollment is very simple. You just have to fill a form. Once you have filled that form, you are going to be oriented in the proper stream.
During the launching of Women Tour Academy via video conferencing in Yaoundé, some graduates were awarded and, of course, attestations.
The Douala Cambridge International School, situated in Bonanjo in the heart of the city, has graduated its first batch of students. The graduation Christian's Golden Globe brought together the pupils, parents and teachers at the esplanade of the school. Bidmia Atang Tabara is in Douala.
2021 academic school year for the pupils of the Douala Cambridge International School, abbreviated DCIS. The school had an average of 18.73, scoring 100% at the common entrance examination.
We decided with the strength we had to promote the Cameroon curriculum. We are struggling so that it will be the same, using the Cameroon curriculum in the secondary and using the Cambridge curriculum in the secondary, so that our kids, by the end of the secondary, they will be able to write the Cambridge exams and the Cameroon exams. Douala Cambridge is the best school in the Vuri division and even in the littoral region. For this first year, we had an total enrollment of 57 kids from the crèche to grade 6.
Prizes as well as end-of-year certificates were handed over to meritorious pupils who will be seeing the four walls of a secondary school for their first time.
I'm very happy to go to secondary, but I'm also sad to leave my friends.
I feel excited for the secondary, and I hope that in secondary it will always be like the primary, because in the primary the teachers were very lovely, they were polite, they were kind, and they taught us very well.
The parents of pupils associated the success of their children to the hard work of the teachers.
I've never regretted my choice. I've been happy from the beginning, to be honest. I'm not surprised now at the end of the year to still be in the same state of happiness. I love the school. I give it a try, like we did.
The Douala Cambridge International School offers a cross-curricular pedagogic approach with the aim of bringing content to contextual reality through project-based learning.
One of Cameroon's leading telecommunication companies, Orange Cameroon, has partnered with an online digital platform, Star News, to propose lucrative initiative for urban artists in Cameroon. The concept, dubbed Star News Urban Hit Show, presented to the press in Douala, seeks to reward outstanding artists based on feedback they receive from fans. Rosalind Forza reports from Douala.
The mission and determination of the mobile telecommunication company Orange Cameroon to support artists almost came to a standstill after the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. With the absence of major musical shows, Orange Cameroon, together with an online digital platform, Star News, have worked out a strategy which seeks to reward artists based on their fan base. This new concept, which was presented in Douala, has been baptized Star News Urban Hit Show.
The idea about this Star News urban music platform is to give a platform of expression for artists where they can create content. And this particular concept is where the artists will come together, through their fan base. They'll have a battle and they'll do content creation in so many areas, and of course, help them in revenue generation.
For this first edition, 20 artists from the Urban Music Fair have been selected. Though all of them will be making money after each subscription from fans, the difference will depend on who has had the maximum reaction from followers.
Pour le premier, de 20 millions de francs CFA. Pour le deuxième,
the first will win 20 million francs CFA, the second 10 million, and the third 5 million. And of course, the project will continue because each of the artists will have a channel on Star News, which will generate money even after the competition.
Permanent pour ces artistes.
Star News and Direct Prod has been lauded by the artists who see this as an answer to the challenges they have been facing since the outbreak of the pandemic.
Having a project like that will permit us to be busy while making money is something really extraordinary.
Most of the artists were not really making money, no shows and everything, so it came to save us some kind of way.
Orange Cameroon, which has always worked for the exposure of artists through concerts and other musical shows, is once again reiterating her interest in promoting their works through this latest initiative.
Now on to sports. The Olembe Sports Complex will be ready to host international competitions by September this year. The assurance was given today by Sports and Physical Education Minister Narcisse Mwele-Kombe while on an inspection visit to the project site. Upon completion, the infrastructure will have the biggest number of camera outlets on the African continent, as you tell us, Gilbert Ongene.
It is a satisfied minister who spoke to journalists after visiting the Annex B Stadium, the athletics lane and media rooms where engineers are busy fitting the necessary installations for smooth communication.
I am able to make a testimony of satisfaction today. There is no doubt that this sport infrastructure is going to be functional for September.
According to McGill officials, there is no cause for alarm any longer, for the difficulties faced in the past have been taken care of by government.
Now the problem is solved, everything is okay now.
Sports Minister Professor Narcisse Mwele-Kombe insisted on the fact that all what CAF expects from Cameroon for Olembe to host the opening ceremony and other matches of AFCON 2021 should be ready before the end of October 2021. Other indicators that come to wipe any doubts in the minds of Cameroonians with regards to the country's hosting of AFCON 2021 is the recent approval of the mascot and the anthem of the competition by CAF, the minister concludes.
And that's all for tonight and for the week. Thanks for watching.
To wash your hands regularly and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.